Hello everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Hearthstone 4 New Order of America. Let us continue on where we last left off. So, ground troops have finally arrived in Cameroon, and I've got a feeling we're going to win this pretty easily. I trust in us. I trust in the American people. I trust in the American military spirit. Aside from that, what do we need to do for our national focus? I think we want to establish a federal minimum wage. We might need to appease the right wing at least a little bit. And also, Angola is now independent. They are still a lovely ally of ours, which is what I want to see. Cameroon is currently down to 91%. You're all moving your way down south. I want one of... Oh, God, where do we need to move? Where do you have any other cities? I don't see any more. I'm going to assume that they... Okay, there's one here. So, you know, let's send one of you over to this city. You're on your way down here, which is nice. Is there anywhere else? We got Kano up in the north. We've got a lot of, like, really, really tiny cities, but actually nothing this far in, which I appreciate, because I don't want to go that far. So, you know what? Let's send you here, just so we can make sure we can go to Kano, and then from that point, go up to this city way up in the north. But that should, I think, basically be it. Good RDC campaign. Let's now campaign. Well, like, okay, let's go back to presidential elections. How is this looking for us? Current, I don't know why default's 1960. 223. Like, it looks so bad for the RDC, it's actually kind of incredible. Let's campaign in the American South. An incredible campaign on the East Coast. And again, remember, we are supporting the RDC here just because I think it'd be a little bit interesting to kind of support the underdogs. Is there any other cities we can go to? I think the answer is, like, literally no. And I'm happy about that there were not that many major cities for us to occupy. Again, assuming that I am looking at this right. Allied victory in West Africa. The dust settled over the Dark Continent as the West African Alliance, a varied and diverse alliance of nations, raises a new flag over what once was the capital of the Pan-African Liberation Front. While the PALF's front's collapsing and facing troops deserting en masse in the past few weeks, most saw their demise as merely a matter of time. Okay. The West African Alliance is now looking a lot stronger. Yorbaland is just kind of hanging out. Now, they are still Pan-Africanist. So I'm not too sure exactly how that works. Just another new beginning. For Francis McCain, every assignment was an adventure. No matter where he went, he always found things to discover and people to meet, which is why he loved his line of work so much. Being an American diplomat had its perks, after all. He could travel the world all year round, and with all expenses taken care of by old Uncle Sam. And now, after India and Ireland, he was assigned to Wallofia. Many of his colleagues would have been protesting such an assignment, for that would mean that they were seen as a useless relocation in a war-devastated country. And as he looked outside the window of his office, he had to admit they may have had a point. It didn't matter to him. Wallofia, despite the war and the hardships, was just another country among them all, and he had a feeling that things wouldn't really be any different here. Still, he had to do his best to make himself at home. He thought as he began to set up his office. Yes, there was a little effort, and he'd feel like in America in no time. Putting up his calendar here and his photos on his desk like this, it would be perfect. And a typewriter would be... Actually, where was the typewriter? All right, Francis remembered with a chuckle. It hadn't arrived yet. Well, it wasn't that big of a problem anyway, as he brought some reading material with him. Just in case, yes, he thought he'd be finishing unpacking his bags. He would feel at home in no time. For after all, anywhere can be paradise as long as you have the will to live. Yeah, become more internationalist, a moderately support for the Progressive Caucus. We love to see it. And now, interesting again, like, you are still Pan-Africanist. Your ideology has not actually changed. Maybe that will change in due time. I'm not too sure. Maybe nothing will actually happen because it's not programmed into the mod yet. But that's okay. Either way, that's a success on our part. I'm happy to see it. And then the West African Mandate is also going to come to an end very, very, very soon. Our volunteer forces have now arrived back home. Let's just assign all of you to this front. You're 4 out of 3, huh? Not that big of a deal. It's not like, again, as long as you're not actually fighting, it doesn't really matter what penalties you're taking. Okay, so there is the federal minimum wage. And what do we want to follow you up with is a great question. Spectre of Hunger, campaign for support. There's increased popularity for the bill across all of America. Sit with Chavez, reprimand the police. Are we passing a bill right now? No, okay. Is there anything else we can do with you? Maintain social spending, plus 45. I'll take that for sure. Optics is still pretty low. But honestly, that's fine. And it's fine because we're not actually going to be at war with anybody right now. And I don't know if there's anything we can actually do to boost optics right now. Okay, polls have updated. Plus 22, plus 6. Wait, okay. 62 plus 22 plus 36 plus 6. I think it's significantly more than 100. We'll just have to... Okay. There's a crazy election going on where there's going to be significantly more senators than there are supposed to be. But I guess we won't question it too much. At least right now, we won't question it. But okay. I mean, Africa's basically solved. Unfortunately, they will not join the OFN. Are you OFN member states? No. We were just members of the West African Alliance. But it does mean that means we should have gotten even more points here. Indonesian War, West Indies Crisis, West African Crisis 200. We love to see it. A lot of good stuff there. By the way, look at this. Like we can make the Cape to Cairo Railway. We can do it again. A better one. Prepare for the future. Do they need to do all of these? Probably not, because you can't do this one. But very, very, very soon, you should get your independence, which is nice. I'm happy for Congo to be independent. I'm happy for us to the state of West Africa. Okay, it is done. The West African War is over. Across the new nations founded in the wake of the PLFS collapse, hundreds of thousands have been displaced, and entire towns erased from the maps. Orphans roam the land, searching for parents that would never come home, and America stares at her triumph. There will be no true victory until liberty spread its wings over the nations that it has won. The nation of West Africa and the exiles in France cry for our help. They argue that only American involvement in the reconstruction can save West Africa from itself. For our part, corporations like Firestone and DuPont are chomping at the bit to exploit the resources of the region. President Robert F. Kennedy has approved the initial aid packages and projects, and it's up to us to ensure that we hold West Africa humanely. Okay. So the reconstruction of West Africa. Let's open up civilian reconstruction projects. We have 88 points here. Let's build the rail line. I mean, let's just do all of these. Let's get the civilian reconstruction up first and foremost. With decreased optics, empty suits, military reconstruction. Yes, we'll send you, you, and you. Just get all this stuff going. We have the points. We have the army experience. We have the political power. To bolster West Africa, align them more to American interest. That is what I want to see. More so than anything else. Mediocre campaign. Okay, let's go up to Minnesota. Prediction is still completely busted. We've captured a Japanese operative. Don't worry about you. Snapshots from Stonewall. It was a quiet night in Stonewall, Illinois. Barely anyone noticed my scribbling notes in the corner. This corner of America is obscure, but it shares the tendency of aching introspection, abbreviated loneliness hammered out via cheap glass cups. Beyond the occasional whisper and the wordless glances, not much makes it out of the haze of anonymity, and long may it remain so. The haze is the only thing that separates this part of town from the mortal gaze of the rest of America. And it's the only thing that keeps it safe. As I'm writing this, a pair of young men, in their 20s perhaps, one Latino, one Caucasian, are swerving to the aching beat of satisfaction. Their patterned shoes tap out the rhythm at one familiar and strange. Just irregular enough to inject the vitality while keeping pace with the beat. Their bodies trace patterns so boldly that they'd be scandalous anywhere else. But here in the trace of lips and hands on waist, it achieves careworn familiarity, like an elderly seamstress fixing an old cardigan. If this had been a different country, perhaps they would have become dancers, but the lipstick and gaudy dresses they wear would kill their careers. And a lot more besides. In this one, America is the home of the brave, but this isn't the land of the free. Not for some. Not yet. For now, there's freedom of the swirl and the curve of a dance, the celebrations of the joy of life in a world with so little else. Another man offers his hand, I rise to dance, in a gentle rhythm and the smoky swirls, I sense some fast and gentle ecstasy. And with every sway, I come closer to its source. Life thrives in the strangest of places. So at some point, I do not know when the Stonewall riots were. I think that's in 1969 or 1971. I don't know why those are the two numbers in my head. But I believe it's like one of those two. Okay. We're missing. We have 1 day. I think that's just for the African quagmire. But again, that's going to resolve very, very soon. Get 3 points per day. Like, that's actually, like, crazy. That we get so much political power. But we can ignore you, ignore you, ignore you, ignore you, ignore you. At least for the time being. We can send humanitarian aid. A military coup in Brazil? Oh, no. What started with a mutiny led by rogue generals had turned into a nationwide coup. The Brazilian armed forces deposed the president in a coup d'etat, suffocating Brazil's democracy. Tanks and armored cars roamed the streets and clashed with protesters, while the armed forces set up intelligence operations and torture centers across the country. Political rivals are exiled, arrested, or killed, and it seems like the promise of a quick and temporary intervention were simply lies. Ernesto Geisel now leads Brazil through the chaotic period and is vowed to restore stability to the country, though many are fearful of the cost of his pledge. Okay. Intelligence, South America. The military is loyal. Operation Blue Fiend. They're not in election season, so let's focus on pro-American sentiment and roots. Feeding my family on a factory to wage? Get real, John. How the hell am I supposed to do that when the Boston suits spend all of it on swanky penthouses in New York? Well, the only thing I can rely on is making the army, and they don't pay him all that much either. But I'm glad he's in Australia. I don't know what to tell him if he saw how rough things were getting in Michigan. Now, you didn't hear from me. I can't speak honestly these days, unless you want social crucifixion. But it's a damn shame where the country's going. And I'm supposed to be the one of the ones better off. I still have a car, a house, and a vacation, but fuck me. The way those uppity hippies and welfare babies act, I'm going to be paying for their breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Sometimes we baptize adults at church, symbolizing their joining of a wider community of believers of God. Now I wonder, if we baptize anybody, who would welcome them? The pews empty out every year, the children are turning their backs on God for rock and roll, and politicians aren't any help either. Sometimes they think they encourage godlessness. They used me up for a war nobody remembers. I went to war thinking I'd serve my country and freedom, but I ended up with an arm gone and a discharge letter to remember me by. I don't regret serving with honor, but I regret being used by those with none. And Phyllis Schleife understands that. Okay, we're observing some core practices. We got the super heavy tanks now. Underlying problem. Let's go for campaign for support. Still seen as a danger to the right, but I don't think it's too bad until they think that I'm an existential threat. Okay, super heavy tank. We can go with the improved. For our research slot, let's go for the artillery pieces. I think that seems like a good use for time. And Congo, you are so close to having your independence. OFN mandate. Is this the last one? I mean, you have you, and then I guess you have restore order to the Congo. Okay, and the results are in. And are pretty much what we expected. Our Justice Committee's report have confirmed our suspicions that America's justice institutions are completely corrupt and in desperate need of reform to curb out the horrible practices that they engage in. Our courts, it seems, have little to no integrity. Justice and jury alike are so horrifically prejudiced against African Americans, who are both found guilty more often and received harsher sentences than whites on trial for the same crimes. Blacks are frequently denied the judicial right promised to all of the Constitution, and are often hoodwinked or forced into confession by racist cops intent on sending black men to prison for no reason other than the color of their skin. The injustice perpetrated upon Americans by the very system meant to uphold it is utterly disgusting, and it is a total subversion to everything America stands for. We have to fix this, and now. In America, Lady Justice is anything but blind. It's time she was blindfolded again. Well, I appreciate the political power. We're at 71. Again, we're still getting 3 per day. So maybe we want to chat with Goldwater. Just be seen as maybe a little bit less, Bros more divided. Everyone still hates me, huh? Because it's really difficult to get these, to stay on top of all this stuff. So sure, you know, let's champion American voices. We'll get that going. And how are... I'm surprised that you're still socialist. I thought that they would, change out your ideology, but I guess not. Even though we did take the capital. Apparently it was not good enough. Wasn't good enough. 40 political power. Is there anything we want to do in America? I've never actually done any of these yet. Which is diminishing the opinion of the Democrats or the Republicans. But I don't know there's a reason to do so. Intelligence and analysis. Let's send some more stuff to the Far East. Give Novosibirsk, which we don't want to do because I don't trust Novosibirsk. And you know what? Let's do operations in the Middle East. Because I know at some point, probably 4 years from now, there will be the oil crisis in the Middle East. So I want to get on top of that before anything too crazy happens. Okay, you guys are still fine. The war on pacifism. We can denounce Japanese imperialism again. Not really a reason not to. The war on pacifism, honestly, is not that crazy. 10% definitely doesn't pay for this. We get more war support, but, I mean, we're already 86%. That seems pretty good to me. Manpower we'll never need more of. We're literally at 6.2 million. And by 6.2, I mean 6.72. I can read. I can see the numbers in front of my face. I know sometimes it might not seem like it, but trust me. Okay, they're 1968 Republican Democratic primaries. It has all come down to this. A few days in the International Amphitheater in Chicago, Illinois, the primaries are over. The delegates have been selected. It is now time to see who will lead the Republican Democratic coalition into the 1968 election. There are now only 2 viable candidates for the race that has been seen by trying to win the keys to the White House. Arizona Senator and proud firebrand conservative Barry Goldwater, or the conscience of the Senate, Michigan's Philip Hart. For months on TV, on debates on the TV, on radio, rallies from coast to coast, in the living rooms and over the dinner tables of everyday Americans, the battle between Barry and Hart has raged. Pins with their faces, with slogans like, "In your heart, you know he's right," and "Take Hart" posters. Newspaper ads, cardboard hats, and all the memorabilia of the campaign, seeking to win the chance for the RDC standard bearer. Both are claiming that that only they can end the anomaly that is the NPP's coalition's Robert F. Kennedy, who now sits in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. But before they can focus on the NPP, they have to get a nod at the convention. As night drags on, the ballot after ballot shows little movement between Goldwater and Hart. Finally, one of the few favorite sons left of the ballot, only because some delegates hoped against hope that their chosen candidate would serve as a compromise candidate. So, the way that I see it is that, I mean, let's look at the prediction. The Democrats are more popular, right? I think just by average. Their way popularities for the RDC. Support is high. Support's kind of high for everybody, honestly. Middling. National. It's funny how like everybody is high. There's nowhere where anywhere is like bad. So you know what? Let's just go for Philip Hart. So we have our first. Yeah, so right now it says he's going to win because there's no NPP election yet. But obviously, strange rumors have arisen of deaths of Japanese-occupied China. Following the arrest of Nanjing Line General Sun Jong-young, rumors of great conspiracy have spread like wildfire. I mean, if China wants to explode, I will support it. Good RDC campaign. Let's go to Michigan. Let's get this stuff going. And I mean, obviously it's going to be, you know, RFK. I don't know why you would put anyone else in here quite yet. But I mean, Philip Hart, he is a Democrat, and I think it makes sense that if you're trying to go against... I mean, again, the Democrats are popular. The progressives are popular. These are popular ideologies in America right now. So I think it makes sense to run the Democrats up. Okay, the polls have been updated. Are they still predicting... Okay, they fixed this now. It's no longer getting like 115 Senate seats. And it's just the nationalists collapsing. The nationalists are not popular. Which is fine by me, because I don't want the nationalists. I want more Democrats and I want more progressives. Operation's been a success. Foreign policy, then some more stuff like this. Sure, let's help train up Australian agencies here. Anything else we can do? Economic progress at 45. Military strength at 37. Wait, no. Open. Because we'll be done in 58 days. Does this actually help out economic progress? Subsidize expansion. Invite Hershey's to West Africa. We spend money on this. You know what? Sure, why not? I'll throw money. Hershey's, you can go to West Africa. Don't worry about any further any implications of what that might entail. I'm sure we'll be fine. Okay. Without cheers and celebration on the floor of the Miami Beach Convention Center in Miami Beach, Florida, it has greeted Robert F. Kennedy as they formally accept the nomination of the MPP to run for a second term as President of the United States of America. As the first White House occupant to be neither a Republican or Democrat since Millard Fillmore left in 1853, it's only natural for Robert F. Kennedy to get another crack at 4 more years in the highest office in America. There are 2 primary challengers, Senator Margaret Chase Smith of Maine, representing the new business-oriented faction of the Nationalist Caucus, and Progressive Caucus leader Michael Harrington, both seeking to bring the pact and a nation more in line with their preferred path. However, neither won more than a handful of delegates in the primaries, and both are overshadowed by the current president's popularity and leadership within the coalition. Now that Robert F. Kennedy secured the nomination with little in the way of opposition, the plan is now face the Republican Democrats. So how is the election looking? Currently, 245 to 46. This is really... It's going to be a landslide, man. That's fucked. But I will say, at least right now, this would be a good time for us to end this episode. If you have enjoyed, remember thumbs up. Not enjoyed, always thumbs down. You want to see more, subscribe, and goodbye.